Hello. Sorry about that. Technical problems stopping us from making Ferrero Rocher muffins. How dare they? How dare they? I think it might be Ferrero Rocher being a bit annoyed that I've used their name without their say so. And we've made them vegan and gluten free and into muffins, which is pretty amazing. Which is really, really pretty amazing. So, sorry about those gremlins in the system this morning, but we're all here now. We are all here now. But it's really weird that the whole thing with like Facebook, because these things happen and I'm like, okay, well I want to make sure that it doesn't happen again, but I don't really understand what happened in the first place to make it not work. so we're trying, but we're all here. We are all here, aren't we? So we have Denise, Sarah, I haven't seen you for a long time, and Colleen, and Joss, and Denise, and Justin. I'm not sure who's being admin today, actually. Is it Louisa, or might it be Katie? I'm not entirely sure, but do let me know. So Justine, and Christine, and Sarah says, sorry, I've missed a few shows, but back to non-stop work. Boo! Boo! I think you should make joining us for the lives and cooking with us your work. That would be pretty amazing. I've made the beetroot rice and watched a couple of the other recipes too. Oh, good. And I'm glad that you're still here. And we did actually do a few recipes where I mentioned you because we were doing like no oil and I was giving that version. Gosh, maybe it was the beetroot one actually. I think it was the beetroot one. I did that without any oil. So, let me just bring you guys over to our lovely picture, just so that you can salivate for a bit, because my computer has handily told me that my mouse battery is very low, and so I'm going to need that during the show. So I'm just going to cut over here very quickly, so you guys can have a look at that while I pop off and get a lead. I'll be back in a sec. Righty-ho, I am back. It would be great if my mouse could tell me that this is going to be an issue before we actually start the show. But there you go. So I hope that you guys are enjoying having a look at our Ferrero Rocher muffin. I developed this recipe so that the sponge is very, very soft, So probably softer than some muffins usually are actually. So let's bring you guys back to me. Just a second. Sorry, my mouse has completely died now. This is fun. God damn it. Okay, let me just see if there are any more questions as well. Ah, right, okay, there we go. Sorry, lots of gremlins today. Okay, so Colleen says your hair looks cute. Thank you. I'm going with the whole like Bjork thing at the moment because my hair's growing and I'm just gonna like let it do its thing. And no more hairdressers for me. Jeannie. Is it Jeannie? That's a lovely name, isn't it? Good morning from Southern California. Very jealous of where you are. It's Ingrid today. It's Ingrid and Romeo as well. we've got a mini person joining us as well. Justine says it seems to have a problem with the new way you put it up. Yeah, sometimes. So sometimes it works and then sometimes it doesn't. So, but those invites that we send to everyone is like that we put up and it says like get the reminder. I think it's really, really useful because you can just click on it and then it will give you a notification when we're about to go live. In theory. Doug is clicking along. Good. Denise says looks scrumptious. Anne says hi everyone. Sarah says, oh yes, she saw it. It was a beetroot recipe and it was lovely for you to. Of course. Always think about all of you guys and how we can make these recipes good for you. Justine says I'm cooking along too. Joss said I have to make my own birthday cake. Well, I don't know about that. Okay, right. Make your own birthday cake, but she has to kind of like doubly make up for that. I have no idea how. That's up to her. But it has to be like double effort on her part if you make your own birthday cake. They're the rules, okay? They're the rules. Karen says, I've missed some shows. Now I've made it back to work. Work really gets in the way of this. I think we should talk about, 4-day weeks, really. So that then you can have like Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays off and join me. And I've just made a quick dash to the shops to get my carbonate soda. That's brilliant. Okay, so guys, we're going to get on with the recipe today. And while we sorry, I'm just adjusting this. There we go. Whilst we get started, I can let my mouse top up. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? It's going to be one of those days. So let's get you guys over to this. And I'll plug my mouse in so that it's got a bit of juice for later on. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start with our hazelnuts. So we've got our hazelnuts here. Guys, I'm going to be making a half recipe because, well, you know why. Because otherwise me and Jeff will be like the size of houses because I make a lot of this stuff. And I did here's one I made earlier as well. So just bear in mind that, my ingredients will be for the base at least half of what you'll be using. So there is that. So yeah, if the amounts look a bit wrong, then that's what it is. So we're going to start with our hazelnuts. You need your oven on 180 degrees Celsius, 360 degrees Fahrenheit, gas mark 4. And so we'll start by roasting our hazelnuts. I think Denise might be using hazelnuts that are already toasted, which is absolutely fine. And I said that there is a place in the UK, there's one of the supermarkets, Sainsbury's, does them already toasted and ground. So if you have them, then you don't need to do this step. But we're going to take our hazelnuts and we're going to put them onto a baking tray and then we're going to pop them into the oven. So you need a wide enough baking tray so that they're not all clumped together. Basically, we don't want them like that in the tray. We want them to have more space. But of course, you guys are going to have double this amount than I have. So we're just going to pop them in the oven for around 10 minutes. If your oven is still heating up, you will need to have them in the oven for longer, obviously. And so what we're looking for is for the skins, most of the skins to blacken and start peeling off. That's what we're looking for. And when we open the oven, they will smoke a bit. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Let me just pop these in the oven. There we go. Let's just see if you guys have any questions for me. I know that you have probably guessed what is underneath our rainbow today. So let's just see. Doug said, Bjork is awesome. So alive with the sugar cubes. I'm jealous of that. Christine said, I just realised that my hazelnuts are roasted. Is that a problem? No, not at all. Because it means that, you just don't need to do this step with us. Doug says, Loch Ness Marathon. Yes, it is. But can you guess who this runner is? And Gloria says, why Nessie? We will find out in a second. Denise says, jogging by the lake where the Loch Ness Monster is. Yes, but we've got to guess who it is. Who is it? Justine says, Loch Ness Monster and vegan runner under the rainbow. Doug says, I've ran that last year. Yes, you have. Colleen says, is it a Loch Ness Monster? It is, but who is it that's jogging? Who is it that's jogging? Denise said, I've ordered some roasted hazelnuts from Amazon. Oh, good. Joss said, you have a birthday cake. I said you should log in to celebrate early. Doug has guessed that it's me. It's not me. Come on. Do I have a beard? In fact, you probably can't see the beard. There we go. He's got a little goatee type thing going on there. George says temperature for the oven to roast the hazelnuts. So it's the same. It's the same temperature, George. So 180 degrees Celsius, 360 degrees Fahrenheit, gas mark 4. So we'll keep it on the same temperature. You don't have to worry about changing it. And Joss says, yes, they sell roasted ones. That's a good way of saving some time. Absolutely. It's not me. It's not me. Unless I manage to grow a beard in the next year, which is not on my to-do list. So, it's a man. It's not Jeff. Doug, it's not Jeff. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. Right, I'm going to have to shut this down and tell you who it is. It's Doug. It's Doug. Doug, it's you. You didn't recognise yourself. I mean, admittedly, I'm not that good at drawing. So, but it was you with your little bird, and you've got a cap on, and you know such things. So there we go. So it was Doug. It's Doug, and unfortunately, he isn't able to do it this year because they've cancelled it. So that's why it says 2021, because he's definitely going to be able to run it next year. And I'm sure that you can't see that, but it says Vegan Runners on the top as well. So there you go. It's one of you guys. It's one of you guys. I try and draw you as much as I can, but you know, my drawing isn't great, and I don't want to offend anyone. So. Okay, so Doug, very, very good question from Colleen. Did you find your scales? Did you find your scales? Let us know, because if not, then we can give you some guidance as we go as to the different measurements that we've got here. So I can get a cup measurement out and help you with that. So please do let us know. Okay, so we are just going to have to wait for those hazelnuts to cook in the oven or to toast. The reason why we're doing that is because it really, really accentuates the flavour in hazelnuts. And hazelnuts have, they do go through like quite a significant change when you roasted them. As a lot of nuts do actually. Most nuts, you know, they have much more umami in them, and they're just like a stronger flavour, a stronger flavour. And plus they'll grind down really, really well, which is perfect for this recipe. Now, the combination of hazelnut and chocolate is such a wonderful thing. It's such a wonderful thing. And so Ferraro Rocher, they did not invent it. Neither did Nutella. It was way before that, in the Piedmont region of Italy. So there was one point where stocks of cocoa were running short. Everybody panic, right? So chocolatier decided to use hazelnuts as a filler for chocolate, and discovered that the combination of hazelnuts and chocolate just was absolutely mind-blowing. Really, really mind-blowing. It's such a great combination. And so that's when gianduja was born. So gianduja is a type of chocolate that has a mixture of hazelnut and, you know, like chocolate truffle, that type of thing. A bit like a praline, that type of thing. So it's actually called gianduja. Yeah, you'll be able to find chocolates like that in Italy that are just completely amazing. And so that combination of hazelnut and, let me just plug this back in whilst I'm yabbering on. There we go. This combination of chocolate and hazelnut has just been taken and put into different things like cakes, and of course we know Ferrero Rocher and Nutella as well. And so, you know, this is my take on the muffins for it. As I said, you know, the sponges are quite light. Don't know how long have they been in the oven for? I can't remember now. Like 5 minutes. We'll do another 5 minutes. The combination is just so lovely. The base of the muffins isn't too sweet, but of course we've got the icing on top of it. So if ever I'm making a cake where it's going to have icing on it, then I tend to make the sponge not too sweet. And quite a lot of my desserts and cakes, they aren't overly sweet, and that just comes from me giving up refined sugar. So I will have things like rapadura I'm using today, coconut sugar, that type of thing, but not the kind of like white refined sugar. And I found that by doing that, it's actually changed my palate quite a lot. And I know that we were talking about palate changes the other day. Yeah, was it? Yeah, it was a couple of days ago. You know, we were talking about that. And it definitely happens when you give up refined sugar. So you can still, you know, be eating like bits of like 85% chocolate, which I still have, but I still find that I can taste more of the sweetness of food. So things like, you know, vegetable, anything that's vegetable based, I find that still quite sweet. So I do find that I have to add things like the umami paste I have, or yeast extract, things that are quite savoury to balance out the savoury meals that I have, to make them actually savoury rather than sweet. Anyway, let me see. Oh, Justine Hansley says we've got 4 minutes left. Oh, Khan, thank you for joining us. And it's raining in Bangladesh. But yes, first dessert. And Doug, are you okay with the measurements? It's great if Colin, if you can help him out with that today. Just make sure that that the conversions are right. That would be great. That would be really, really helpful. And yeah, I mean, one thing, we did actually have the subject of conversions come up in the Pro Chef course, because one of the issues can be with converting dry ingredients that are usually measured in weight into volume is, first of all, we're using some flours that are a bit unusual. We're using things like the potato starch and also the rice flour, a bit different to what you would normally have. So, even though on a conversion table it might say, plain flour, 100 grams is, quarter of a cup or half a cup or whatever it is, might not be the same for things like rice flour or potato starch, which, so that can be a little bit tricky. But I think, if Colleen is cooking along, then she can actually tell you. She can actually tell you, which would be way more accurate than a lot of the guides. And the other issue that we have, which is maybe getting a little bit food geeky about this, but well, bear with me, because it might be of some use to some people, is that, when we're measuring things like flour, you can scoop flour, just up like this, and it will weigh X amount. And then you'll scoop flour and you'll press it to the side of the bag or the box or whatever it is, and you'll scoop that out, and that will be a different weight. Because when we compress flours, then you'll have more in that spoon or whatever it is that you're using. So it can be a bit tricky to do these kind of like weight to mass conversions. But you've got someone like Colleen helping you out, then that's going to really, 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 really help. Okay, Doug said he thinks okay. The conversions online are very confusing. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so Justine says not just a super rainbow spotter, but also a conversion pro. Yes, and thank you so much for that. It's so lovely when you guys help each other out. Okay, so I think that my nuts should be done by now. So let's bring you guys back to the overhead cam. We'll pop this here so that I don't burn top. Let's see how these are doing. So I just opened the oven door and I was met with quite a lot of smoke. So that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. And you can see with the hazelnuts that they are darker, and you can see that the skins are cracking. Let me just hold this up to, there we go. So you can see that they're peeling. Yeah, those skins are starting to come off, and that's what we're looking for. So we have a couple of options with this. One, we can put them onto another plate or something like that, a dish, whatever it is that you've got, to help them cool down quicker. Because at the moment, if we started handling them, well, they're going to burn us because they're far, far too hot for us to handle. But we need to handle them in some way to get these skins off. So either you can put them on a plate, let them cool down, and then you can rub them between your fingertips to get the skins off, or we can pop them into a Tupperware box. So I've got this Tupperware box. It's one of these lock and lock ones, which is really useful for stuff like this because it's really stable. I know that it's not going to pop open. So I'm going to pop these hazelnuts into the box. So you guys don't have to do it this way, but this is just like an easier method. You can just wait for them to cool down. I want to show you this method. Okay, so now we've got them in the box. As you can see, the skins are starting to come off. Okay. So don't worry about every little bit of skin coming off it. Doesn't really matter a huge amount. You know, I've had chefs who've tried to get like every bit of skin off, but it's like, well, you know, only really do that if it's like a fine dine. If you're a master chef, then go ahead and do it. But we're not a master chef, so don't do it. Okay, so now we need to grab all of our hazelnuts, and you want to be careful not to get the bits of skin that have come off it. Okay, so people who are cooking along with me at home, if you can grab a Tupperware, I think that's going to be your quickest and easiest route to doing this. Sorry, I didn't put that in the equipment list, so you're going to have to be quick and get one. So we just need to spoon out the nuts. There we go. And so with the nuts, we're going to use them for the base as well as the topping. So they're going to go in both. And really, to get the strong kind of hazelnut taste, we do need it in both. I mean, you can also use something like that, is it called Frangelico? The hazelnut liqueur. There we go. You know, that's also an option if you happen to have something that specific in your liquor cabinet. If anybody has a liquor cabinet anymore. There we go. Okay, so sometimes like the nuts get in the way of the blade. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to give this a grind, a whiz, a blitz, and get it as fine as we possibly can. Okay, there we go. It's still a bit crummy, so I'm going to keep blending it. Right, there we go. Okay, so we will need our food processor again. But with this, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half. So we'll need half for our bowl here, and half to go on the top. So it can just be a rough amount. I mean, you guys can weigh it out if you want to, if you feel like you can't just do it by sight. There we go. I'm going to just cut it in half there. There we go, half in there. And then half goes in here. So this will go in the topping, the frosting that we're going to be making to go on top of it. Okay, so there we go. So that's going to be to go in my topping later. Let me just see if we have any more questions before we get going, and just to give you guys a chance to catch up as well. So do let me know if I need to go any slower or anything like that. So Okay, so Colleen said, "Wow, that was loud." I just wrote the house up. Justine said, "Right, I missed most of that. I couldn't hear." Okay, so which bit did you miss? And Karen said, "My Wi-Fi connection keeps dropping out. Are those the hazelnuts in the blender?" Yes, they are. Yes, they. What is happening today? I know it's like chilled out Saturday, but it's like all the technology is just like Saturday, can't be bothered. Just gonna put my feet up, not actually do what I'm meant to be doing. So Justine, let me know if you need any more details. But basically, I just ground those hazelnuts. So that's what you guys need to be doing now. Let's get those skins off. Preferably, you know, in the method that I showed you, with the Tupperware box, which is just, you know, so much easier than the hand rubbing method. Okay, so Elaine, thank you for joining us. Okay, so now we can get on to the remaining muffin batter ingredients. By the way, these muffins are going to be Max muffins today. They're big. I forgot to tell you that. They're really big. Is that a problem? I don't think it's a problem. Justine says, "I think I'm being OCD about the hazelnuts." Yeah, don't worry about it. As long as most of those skins are off, you don't need to get all of them off at all. Like, really, really don't worry about it. But, Justine, when you are on MasterChef, and you will be one day, you know, showcasing vegan food at its best, please, then you can take all of the skins off. Until that time, just let the skins be, okay? Just allow some skins to be in your hazelnuts. Okay, so let's get on to the remaining batter ingredients. So now we have our oats. So we are going to pop our oats into our food processor as well and give those a little blitz. So let's get noisy again. So doing it this way, actually, with the chopper attachment, we do end up with not completely ground oats. So there is a little bit of texture there, which I actually quite like. Okay, there we go. You'll be grateful to know that that's it for the noisy stuff for today anyway. Okay, so we can just pop our oats into our bowl. So just remember, guys, as well, we've only got half the amount of hazelnuts in here because we need to save hazelnuts for the topping. Yeah, so we've got some hazelnuts over here. So once you have taken the skins off your hazelnuts and also ground them, then do split it in half. So we've got half in the bowl and we've got a half left over here. Okay, so and now we can just add all of our dry ingredients that we need for the muffins. So we've got our potato starch here. You can also use tapioca flour. Sorry, I forgot to put that in the ingredients list, but I use them as a straight substitution. And I've found in pretty much all the recipes that I've tried out with this that has worked very, very well. And now we have here our rice flour. So we've got 50 grams of rice flour. And this combination just gives it a really nice light texture. And then we have our cocoa or cacao powder. So this is ground cacao. I'm a really, really big fan of raw cacao. And it is a bit of a treat because it is quite expensive. But I really like, you know, the fact that it perks me up. And it is really, really healthy, really healthy. Oh, thank you guys for commenting on Justine's question. That's absolutely brilliant. And Doug says he's only just finished chopping the nuts. Okay. Okay, so I might just slow down a bit for you guys. Let me see. Okay. Okay, so you guys are getting on to doing the oats. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. I can chill. I can just like talk about anything to do with food, to be honest. Like we'll be here for like weeks on end just with me talking about food. So basically the next process that we're going to do is really simple with cakes and really simple with vegan cakes. So we're going to be putting all of the dry ingredients into the bowl, and then we're going to be adding the wet ingredients, and that's it. And so you'll find that that's a really, really good method when it comes to vegan food, and also vegan food, vegan cakes where you're using margarine. So when, like with non-vegan cakes, there used to be this method of, or there still is this method of creaming the butter with the sugar. So, you know, you'd use a fork, and this is how, you know, my mum taught me how to do it, how to make cakes. We would start with the butter and the sugar in a bowl, and then we would use a fork and we would cream it. So we would mush it to the side, and, you know, keep mixing it. But what would happen in that process is that although, you know, you're creaming it into a fat, there are tiny little air bubbles. So when you add the other cake ingredients, that you still have those tiny air bubbles that are trapped within the fat, and that can help with the texture of a cake. I don't find that the same thing really happens too much with margarine, so we don't necessarily have to like do it that method. So actually, this idea of, you know, dry ingredients in a bowl and then add the wet ingredients, it just makes cake making a lot easier, because you can just do it in one bowl as well. You know, so yeah, so that's the method. Oh, Elaine says my kitchen has run out of hazelnut. Damn. Justine says I'm at the same bit, maybe we can get Chef Day to talk for 5 minutes. Your wish is my command. Here we go. Elaine says, is there any way to substitute margarine? So basically, like with this recipe, I decided to use margarine because in the UK, at least, it's quite a cheap product, and the hazelnuts are not. So I do try to have this balance of, you know, if there's going to be an expensive ingredient like things like hazelnuts or pine nuts or, you know, that type of thing, then we balance it out by having cheaper ingredients in the rest of the recipe. Now, you could try using something like a refined coconut oil. That may work, but it may not. I would have to experiment with it to find out if that's a possibility. Yeah, and Justine says, so add the oats and both flours and cocoa bicarbonate and sugar to the bowl. You've caught up, babe. Okay, so oh, Colleen says, I forgot to take the margarine out. It's not very soft. Well, hopefully it's one that will loosen up when you start working with it. So let's go back over to our overhead shot, and then I can carry on, because I think everyone is kind of at the same stage now. So in my bowl, I have half the hazelnuts. Can I just say that once again, because it's very, very important. Half the hazelnuts. Not all of the hazelnuts, half the hazelnuts. Okay. I have my ground oats. And I have my potato starch, and I have my rice flour. Okay, so now we can put in our first amount of cocoa or cacao, which is our, well, yours would be 25 grams, so we can just pop that in. And then we have our baking powder and our bicarbonate of soda. So I'll just pop them in. I haven't measured mine out yet, so, but you maybe have done. Okay, and our bicarbonate of soda. There we go. Just pop those over there. And now we need our sugar, so 150 grams of sugar. There we go. And although it is quite a lot of sugar, these aren't that sugary because we have the bitterness of the cacao. So that kind of balances it out, so it makes it seem not so sweet. George says, by the way, thank you for sharing these short series of vegan advocacy videos. I think it's a well-crafted set of videos about how to effectively advocate for things you're passionate about. Oh, I'm really, really glad that you enjoyed those. So Siva was created by Dr. Melanie Joy. So some of you may have come across her books. She's the lady who came up with the term carnism. So very, very interesting lady, very knowledgeable. She started Siva with Tobias Leinart, I think his name is. And so they have the most amazing talks on vegan advocacy, and they were just absolutely like life-changing, the one that I went to. I don't think I can tell you kind of like actually like how life-saving it was. So right, so now we've got all of our dry ingredients in there and mixed really, really well together. Okay, so make sure that you guys are mixing them in really, really well. Okay, and now we can add our margarine. So this is the first lot of margarine, the 225 grams of margarine. Okay, thanks guys for helping each other out. That's really, really great to see, because sometimes I do miss these things, you know, because I'm looking at what I'm doing. So it's great if you guys can help each other out. So now I'm going to mix the margarine into the dry ingredients. So it might feel like it's not mixing in, but you just need to give it a bit of elbow grease, and it will mix in. It will concede. Whoops. And I'm just really using the back of my spoon just to press it into there. There we go. And guys, you know, just as like an extra recipe for you, if we stopped right here, right now, and just use this, I reckon we could make cookies with this. So really mixed in very, very well. I'm going to take a little bit of mine just to see what happens. There we go. There we go. I'm just going to try that out. Because you never know. You never know. It might be like 2 recipes in one. How amazing would that? Oh, Colleen said that she was on the Chick Peeps podcast. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so now we've got our milk here, and I'm going to add my vanilla essence actually to the milk. So I'm just adding a little bit. And so the vanilla essence just helps with the chocolate. Vanilla and chocolate go really, really well together. Vanilla and hazelnut go really, really well together. And so I'm going to put it in. So I'm just laughing at Justine saying carnism, as in carn as in our carns. Oh my gosh, that is such a vegan joke. That's brilliant. I love vegan jokes. So I just put my vanilla essence into my milk. So that's just going to mean that it's going to, you know, spread out everywhere, and you know, it's not just going to be in like one pocket. So now we've got our milk, so we can add around quarter and start mixing that in. And doing it this way, incrementally, is just going to mean it's a lot easier to mix in. Oh, this smells good. This smells very, very good. And some more of the milk. And you guys can use any plant milk with this recipe. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what type it is. And it is quite a wet batter that we're looking for. started with the milk. And that's that. So this is our muffin batter. There we go. Okay, lovely. I mean, honestly, it's like hazelnut and chocolate soup, which I could just eat right here and now. Oh, okay. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. We are actually going to cook this. Okay, so we can shift this to one side and we can get our muffin tray. My muffin tins are really quite big. Really quite big. So, and they're quite deep as well. They're quite nice and deep. So if yours isn't so deep, you may have more batter than you actually need. But you could just pop it into a cake tin or something like that. Like don't get rid of it. Don't throw it away. No, we will make use of it. But this one is quite deep and quite big. So we are going to be making, you know, some fairly substantial muffins, because we're going to fill them pretty much all the way up to the top, because this is an awful lot of batter. It is an awful lot of batter. So now I can just pour it in. Now remember, I'm only doing a half recipe. So see, look, these are going to be hefty, hefty muffins. That sounds tasty. They're going to be big old muffins. There we go, that's a bit more affectionate. Rather than hefty muffins. There we go. So pretty much all the way to the top. And they are going to really rise well above that. So I've got on my little experimental cookie there. And now I will pop them in the oven. So these will go into my oven for probably around half an hour. Around half an hour. So let me just pop them into the oven, get them going as quickly as we can. Here we go. Okay, so people who are cooking along at home, I hope that you are getting on well. Doug says he's using hazelnut milk. That's a great idea. Really, really great idea. Extra hazelnut action going on there. And Karen says, me too. It's amazing in hot chocolate. Oh, that sounds good. That sounds very, very good. Okay, so let's just get rid of some of these ingredients. I hope that you guys who are cooking along at home are getting on okay. Let me know if you need any more information from me at this point. I am going to now show you how to do the topping. So I'll just clean down here and we'll bring over our ingredients that we need for the topping. There we go. And also our saucepan. So you guys will need a saucepan for this. So we have our hazelnuts here. So I'm going to be making a full recipe for this now, not a half recipe. So do just bear that in mind. So we've got our hazelnuts here, we've got our cacao, we've got 2 lots of sugar as well, not just one, and we've got our margarine. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be making a kind of like a buttercream icing, but we're going to be adding more body to it, and that's why we've got these 2 different amounts of sugar, because we've got one that will be melted and will go into like the creaminess, and then another that is going to act as like a thickener together with the ground hazelnuts. Okay, so let me just see. Colleen said, I have to switch to a stand mixer. Marge is still too hard. Oh, that's bad. Oh, I hope that you can get that fixed. Gloria says, I need rice and potato flour, so we'll have to come back to the recipe. Yes, I mean, I would suggest actually that you can probably substitute those flours and maybe use something like gram flour, or you can even, you know, because I know that you're not gluten-free, Gloria, so, you know, you could try it out with gluten flour. That's absolutely fine. And sometimes like those straight substitutions do work. Sometimes they don't. So, you know, but you can always try it. You can always try it. Justine has asked if I can talk for 5 minutes again. Okay. What should we talk about then, guys? Oh, actually, I was going to ask you guys a question. So, now that we are seriously going ahead with the cookbook, with Miracle's Mission, I wanted to ask you guys what you want to see from a cookbook. So not just what recipes do you want, but of course, like that would be handy information. But also, you know, we've had suggestions like Sue suggested, I think it was Sue, suggested that we, instead of having, you know, a properly bound book, we actually make it one of those ring bounder ones, you know, with a coil, so that when you're looking at it in your kitchen when you're cooking from it, basically, it actually sits open, because it's quite annoying when you get one and it just keeps like, you know, you've got to the page and you're trying to read it and it just keeps like flapping everywhere, and, you know, and you can't see the recipe properly and you can't turn the page because your hands have got, you know, food on them, basically. So there is that, which was a really, really great idea. Really, really great idea. Yeah, so if you guys, you know, you guys are like the best source of information for anything like this, because I'm sure that you guys have come along cookbooks and you thought, oh, they do that really, really well, or it would be great if they did this in a different way, you know, that type of thing. So please do let me know if you've got any suggestions for that. We are going to be putting between 80 to 100 recipes in it. I'm going to make sure that we have everything from really, really easy one-pot dishes, because I'm a really, really big fan of one-pot dishes. Things like spice mixes as well. The other day I made an amazing stew that was with the spice mix that I made with you guys a few weeks ago, and it just makes cooking from scratch so much easier. So we'll definitely do a lot of these kind of like very accessible weeknight dinner dishes for you, because I know that they're really helpful. They're really, really helpful. But of course we'll put Ferraro Roche muffins in it, but we'll probably have to change the name because then we might get sued. So I can't say, we can't call it Nutella either. So Glorious is when will it be published? Okay, so we're going for a publishing date of around end of November, so that it's in time for Christmas, so that people can buy it for Christmas presents, and of course so it's in time for Veganuary too. But we've got an amazing illustrator on board, Bridget, who's come to some of the lives actually, and she does the most amazing, beautiful line drawings of animals and really captures their spirit. So it's super exciting to have her involved because she's so talented, so talented. Okay, so, but yeah, you guys either let me know like now or during our cook-alongs any ideas that you've got, or just pop them into the community hub, either or you know, you can even DM me. So, you know, whatever help that you can give with that, just, you know, your insight and your ideas is absolutely amazing. Okay, so how is everyone getting on? Oh no, Justine's using a silicone cake tray. Does that mean it's all like... Did you not put it on a baking tray first? Is that what happened? George says, will there be an electronic version of the cookbook? Especially an EPUB version? Well, if people want it, then yes, of course we can. We can do that if that's something that is useful for people. Definitely, definitely. Justine says the batteries will over the oven now. Oh no! Oh, and your muffins did go in the oven. So Doug's have gone in the oven. That's great. That's great. Okay, so let's get on to the next part of the recipe. Now, of course, I've got some that I made earlier today, so that I could show you how to pop the topping on. But you guys, basically, you have, for the people who are cooking along, you have to wait for these to cool down. You have to wait for these to cool down. That is like absolutely non-negotiable when we're topping cakes, unless like we're putting something like a glaze on it, where actually the heat from the cake is a good thing because we want it to be quite thin. But with this, we don't. We want it to be quite thick. So these are the muffins that I made earlier. As I said, you know, this is why I'm doing a half recipe today, because me and Jeff will end up with these massive, massive muffins, which I don't think he's going to be sad about that, honestly. Oh, look, that one looks like it's a face. Look, there's a smile. Okay, it looks a little bit scary, and these are the eyes. Looks like a Nightmare Before Christmas, doesn't it? Here we go. Okay, so as I was saying, let these cool down before we put any topping on them. You can eat them beforehand, and they're very, very nice warm. Very nice warm. Oh, Annie said, how long does it go into the oven? I had to get the food processor on it to mix it so I couldn't hear. So, because they're quite big, around 25 to 30 minutes, Annie. Oh, Annie, is there a name yet for your boy? For your grandson? Let us know. Let us know. I mean, it would be fair enough if they didn't want to call him Kale. I can understand that. I can understand that. But yeah, let us know. Let us know how they're doing. It's very exciting. Very exciting. I can't believe that you've got time to join in with these. But thank you. Thank you for joining us. And do let us know. Justine says, it's okay, I have another 2 trays. Good, good, good. And the batter is very, very good. Because this is one of the bonuses with us not using round flour. The batter actually tastes nice. Okay, so on to our topping. So anybody who is cooking along, you guys can make the topping. That's absolutely fine. But you're just going to have to wait for your muffins to cool down, so that it doesn't just kind of like drip off, because it would just drip off. Okay, so we have our pan here. So now we can pop our margarine into our pan. Here we go, and we need our 100 grams of sugar is going to go into the pan, but I'm just going to let this melt first. And actually, looking at that melting on the screen, it's very hypnotic. It's very hypnotic. Look at that. I think I'm very easily impressed these days. We went to Tesco the other night and I was so excited. So, yeah, just letting this melt. And then we'll add our sugar. I'm using Rapadura sugar today, which is very, very similar to coconut sugar. I really like the caramelly flavour of it, and it's not too sweet for me. So it's an unrefined sugar. But you guys can just use whatever sugar you're comfortable eating, basically. It's completely up to you guys. And that's why I started changing the ingredients list, because I used to say coconut sugar in a lot of my ingredients list, but for some people, they can't get hold of it, and it's fairly expensive. It is fairly expensive. Oh, Annie said no name yet. I did suggest Kale, but for some reason they weren't impressed. I know. I mean, that is a bit like us doing like vegan outreach within our family. So yeah. Doug said, sorry, Paul. Yes, I noticed you were watching the listings. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, you guys chat. Yeah, I think Doug has been quite busy with trying to cook along with us without any weighing scales, which is pretty impressive. Okay, so once this is melted, and by the way, mine is melting quite quickly because, of course, my hob is very, very quick, very, very hot. Justine said, I forgot the vanilla essence. Really, really don't worry about that, babe. It's a minor thing. Gloria said I went to see my lovely barefoot vegan podiatrist yesterday. Oh, wow. And Justine says, what's in the saucepan? So this is our margarine. So in here, we've got our second lot of margarine, our 200 grams of margarine. And now we're going to add our 100 grams of sugar. Justine said she was too busy eating the batter. And we're just going to let that melt. So my sugar will be quite quick to melt probably because it's very, very fine Rapadura sugar. But yours might be quite grainy, so you might just have to just bear with it for a bit longer. But I can see, mine is already melted. And now we can add our remaining hazelnut. And our cacao or cocoa. And we can turn the heat off. It doesn't need to melt anymore. We just need to make sure that this is mixed in really well. We've got no lumps from the cocoa or the cacao. Well, this is very therapeutic. I like this. This is a really good recipe for a Saturday. A really chilled one. Okay, so now we can just pop this mixture into our bowl. And I'm going to add the rest of the sugar. Just going to get a smaller spoon to help me with this. Here we go. Okay, so guys, as this cools down, it will thicken. At the moment, it's very thin. So you do need to allow it to just get more cold. I wouldn't put it in the fridge just yet because it's just too hot, so it can affect the other things that are in the fridge. There we go. So basically what we've done here is we've created a frosting, but that has a bit of body to it and it has a bit of texture because we've got that sugar that we didn't melt, but we've also got that lovely hazelnut, but we've still got those little bits. Oh no, Karen, what happened? What happened? She says everything has gone Pete Tong, so I'm going to make them later. Justine says chilled, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark. So yeah, I'm finding this like a really relaxing one to do today. I'm guessing that you're not. So Colleen says, so the last 40 grams of sugar goes in now. Yes. Yeah, it goes in now. So then basically with that 40 grams of sugar, we're not melting it. So we want to have that still like graininess in it. Annie says, yes, I think every Saturday should be a cake cook-along. I agree. I definitely agree. So with the cook-alongs that I'm doing, basically what I'm giving you guys is one dinner or lunch, you know, like usually, you know, I try to make it like an easy-ish weeknight meal because I know that that's like a real struggle for a lot of people. And then either a snack or, you know, a sweet thing. And so I think that that's probably a good ratio. But next week, I'll only be with you guys for one show. I'll only be with you guys for one. I know. But that's because on the Thursday, we've got Lara from My Fair Ladle, who she will be our guest chef. So she will be showing you guys how to make a shakshuka, which is so fun to say, shakshuka. Yeah, she will be giving you guys lots of tips on food waste and sustainability as well, because that's her thing, that's her specialism. So, you know, please do join us for that and come with all your questions about, you know, how to minimize food waste and how to oh sorry, we just had a few questions. Oh, so Karen said Wi-Fi was the issue. Okay, so Justine says, so it's all in the pan. Okay, so just let's backtrack to that. So in the pan I put our was it the 200 grams of margarine, 100 grams of sugar, the cacao or cocoa, and the leftover ground hazelnut. And so that went into the pan, and then we melted it, mixed it all in, took it off the heat, poured it into here, and then added that sugar, because that sugar shouldn't you know, it should give it some body. And it shouldn't just melt in like the original 100 grams of sugar that we put in. So there we go, guys. So let me just bring you guys to the overhead shot so that you can see what this lovely thing is like. And there's a lot here. There is a lot here. These are very generous muffins. Very generous muffins. So as you can see at the moment, my frosting is still quite liquidy. So we're going to have to wait for this to cool down before I can actually start topping our muffins. Okay, but once this is stiffer and thicker, then we can top them like this. So if we did this right now, then what would happen is all of that would slide off onto the plate and it wouldn't stay on top. So we do need it to be thicker. But it will get thicker. It will get thicker because we've got the margarine in there, you know, and that's the thing that is the fat. And so once that cools down, it will create that body and that shape. And let me just see how my muffins are doing. Bring them over to the camera so that you guys can see. Let's come back to this camera. So there we go. They are really rising very, very well. Let's get another angle on that. There we go. See how big that is? That's like a whole meal. Like, seriously. And our cookie's doing well, actually. Our little experimental cookie. So that's a good bonus, isn't it? But these do need around half an hour because they are so gigantic. So I'm going to pop them back into the oven now. There we go, guys. There we go. So thank you for joining me for this show today. I'm not going to be able to show you guys how to pop the glaze on because still have to wait for it to cool down a bit. But what I'll do is I'll pop a little video in the hub later on, just showing you guys how I do this. Because there might be some techniques that are useful for you guys, you know, and you might want to see that. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Doug said, can I pop it in the fridge to cool? It is quicker, but so basically, like when we put things in the fridge that are already hot, you do have to be careful. Not because of this, but because of the other things that are in the fridge. And the reason why is that, you know, with some fridge items, if they heat up and then cool down, then that's not very good for them. It can ruin not only their quality, but it can potentially cause like bacteria to grow as well. So we need to wait until this is much cooler until it goes into the fridge. So, you know, whilst it's like this hot, we don't want to put it in the fridge. So just wait. But what you can do as well is like once it gets to the point where you're like, okay, I think that could go into the fridge, you can really like clear the shelf and make sure that there's nothing, you know, directly above it that will be affected by this type of heat going in the fridge. And of course you have the other thing of like, if you put something hot into the fridge, then it can make the fridge work overtime. And of course, fridges are great for the environment. And so Justine says, how long do you have to wait to ice it? Until it's cool. Until it's completely cool. Okay? That's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Like the muffins, they need to be completely cool. And yeah, before you ice them. So you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to be patient. Denise says, maybe make the batter first. Yes. The icing, sorry. Yes, yeah, absolutely. But you need to wait. You need, because what I don't want you to do is have the icing ready, and then the muffins come out of the oven, and you are so desperate to eat one that you put the icing on a muffin whilst the muffin is still hot, because that doesn't work. I've tried that, and it doesn't work. It's really so upsetting when you've made all this nice stuff and you put the icing on top and it just kind of like melts, you know. So we have to wait. And Justine said, like the donuts. Yeah, I mean, with the donuts, like you can actually get away with glazing them a bit earlier, but you just have to, with the donuts, it was more that you had to be careful that they were a bit unstable while they were still warm. So yeah, exactly, Doug. We'll all just chill a bit with this recipe and not be so desperate to eat them immediately. If you're hungry, then I recommend you go and have some other food just to stop the temptation. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for joining me for this very, very, very fun recipe today. Let me know how you get on. Love to see your pictures in the community hub as always, and I will share this video of me doing the final steps in the group later on today. Doug said the spoon tasted gorgeous. Yeah, it does. Yes, it's very, very good muffin day today. So yeah, thank you for your time and your love and your patience and your fun and all of the laughs that we've had today. And join us next week, where of course we'll have Lara And then we'll have Katie, and then you'll have me again. So I guess I'll see you next Saturday. Have a lovely day, guys.